The Prime Minister and all federal party leaders will pay tribute to the 8 victims of this week's mass shooting tonight. Interim NDP leader Don Davies has made the trip to be part of the memorial service. He joins me now live from Tumbler Ridge. Don Davies, thank you for taking the time. It's good to see you, sir.
You too, David.
Why was it important for you to be there in Tumbler Ridge? What message do you hope this sends to the community and to the country that you all went together?
Well, I think it's to send a message that the entire country is grieving with the people of Tumbler Ridge, and that this senseless, horrific tragedy is something that we all feel. And even though I don't think there's words that are adequate at a time like this, and even though there's not much we can do, I think coming together and being together with the people of Tumbler Ridge is a way that we can show them that that we're feeling their pain, and we want to be there for them.
I know, Mr. Davies, you just traveled there today, and you probably haven't been in the community for very long. But have you been given a sense of what it is you might be able to do to help, if not today, but in the days ahead? Because there's going to be a need for support beyond the acute focus of the tragedy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I laid the wreath with the Prime Minister and the other leaders about half an hour ago, and after I had a chance to talk to a few people, and I talked to the grandparents of Zoe, who lost her life, and I also talked to 2 students who were in the building. They were a year older than the kids who died. They were 13 and 14, and what I can tell you is, the immediacy of the trauma, the unspeakable grief, and just the pain and the confusion is just heartbreaking. And so, as you say, we need more of everything. We need acute help right now. Like I'm worried for these young students here who are clearly in struggling, and we have to make sure that we have the mental health support here to support them, not only now, but in that crucial period a couple of weeks from now and a month or 2 from now, when people move on, but they're still dealing with the aftermath, and then long term. As you know, I had the Lapu Lapu tragedy in my riding just about 8 months ago, and so I kind of feel a little bit of what happened there is happening here, and so I know a little bit the stages of grief that happen. And what's most important of all is that we band together, and we not only give the support that they need right now, but we stay in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead. That'll be difficult.
You mentioned Zoe, and I believe you said you spoke to her grandparents. Bob Zimmer mentioned her last night. That's her. We're showing her now on the screen. Zoe Benoit, 12 years old, just a beautiful girl there with braces and glasses. The family, when they released her identity in her picture, they described her as resilient, vibrant, smart, caring, the strongest little girl you could meet. She loved spending time with her family where she could show her love. I mean, Mr. Davies, I know you mentioned the Lapu Lapu Festival. You're there for this now. Have you ever in your time in public life encountered a tragedy like this where the victims were so young? I mean, birth dates of 2012, 2013. Have you ever come across anything like this in your time?
Well, the short answer would be no. I mean, I think that you never want to compare tragedies. Each one is unique, and each one is devastatingly painful and profound as any other. But at the same time, some have unique aspects like this. To go into a school, which is supposed to be a place where our children are safe and nurtured, and the ages of them. To be 12 years old, and a number of the kids that lost their lives are 12 and 13, just on the cusp of adulthood with so much promise, their entire lives in front of them. There seems to me to be something so unbelievably unjust about that. So grievously wrong about that I'm feeling that here, and I think other people are as well. And it's not to say that every other life that's taken, however old they are, isn't of the same value. It is. but there's something that I think is really painful about this particular tragedy, and I think that's why you're seeing, you know, the 5 leaders on a plane this morning. You know, 5 leaders don't agree on much in Ottawa a lot of the times, David, as you know. But we all adjust our schedules because we just had this feeling inside that we all have to be together and share in this horrific tragedy, and hopefully work together and commit to do whatever we can to help ease the pain in this community, and maybe when the time comes, to start addressing some of the things so that we can try to ensure this doesn't happen again to another community.
No, certainly there will probably be conversations, Mr. Davies, about red flag laws, you know, mental health supports, rural policing, resource levels, though it seems at this point the RCMP responded swiftly and with decisiveness in this particular moment. But you mentioned flying out on the plane together. What can you tell us about that? What was the conversation as all of these political rivals were together, united in this moment to go to Tumbler Ridge, try to help the community with its grief?
Well, first of all, I want to express my appreciation to Prime Minister Carney. I thought it was a very gracious move on his part to invite all of the leaders to come together on his Challenger jet to come here. I think we need to see more of that in politics. So I think that it started off with a very politically generous and sensitive move on his part. And I'll tell you that we talked we talked a little bit on the plane, but it was in the silence that I think I felt the most remarkable connection, because there was this feeling that we don't do this very often, and what was joining us together as Canadians is we were there as fathers and as grandfathers and as parents and mothers, and I guess for a while there, I mean, we just dropped any kind of partisan shields and came together as Canadians. And you know, one thing I want to say that I think is really important, I've heard from some people around here, is we don't want to normalize this. You know, Premier Eby, I thought, said some very important words where he said that these things aren't supposed to happen here, and they're not. So I think what we want is we just never want this kind of thing to ever become normalized in our country. And I think the 5 parties coming together today in solidarity to stand together to say that we're going to share this grief, we're going to share the pain, and we're going to stand together in a strong, resilient way to show that this isn't Canada. This isn't the Canada that we want, and I think that's a really important political and social message to send at this time.
Just as a final point, Mr. Davies, look, I know it's impossible to find the right thing to say in a moment like this. You're all there together as political leaders, but it's the Prime Minister who will speak at the memorial service tonight. Do you have a sense of what Mark Carney may say? Do you have a sense of what he should say, what he will say? Because this is one of those moments you don't really prepare for as a politician, Mr. Davies, right? But you know, when you have the mantle of leadership, it's a moment you have to rise to. What are your thoughts on what you expect to hear from Mark Carney this evening?
Well, you know, what was it, a day or two ago, we all rose in the House of Commons as leaders and had the awful opportunity to make a statement in the House about this event. And what struck me at that time was how we all touched on the same themes. I think we're all feeling the same thing. There's shock, there's grief, there's pain, there's confusion, and there's also a desire to stand together and to show that we grieve and mourn together as a country. And so I think those are the sentiments that will be expressed today by Mr. Carney on behalf of all of us. And you know, I guess what I'm feeling right now is, without being able to put it in words, we're all feeling the same things. And I think Mr. Carney is going to take those feelings and articulate them on all our behalfs, and I think that's leadership.
No, there's a universal sorrow and a resolve, or at least a national sorrow and a national resolve, it seems, Don Davies, and curious to see what the Prime Minister will have to say. Certainly his speech in Parliament, as you say, hit a lot of the right notes. Don Davies, Interim Leader of the NDP, thank you for taking the time, sir. Good luck with the rest of your time in Tumbler Ridge. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, David.
Well, in a little over 2 hours, the Prime Minister and other federal party leaders will pay tribute to the 8 victims of this week's mass shooting. Green Party leader Elizabeth May joined the Prime Minister and the other leaders on the trip to Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, and she joins me now. Elizabeth May, it's good to see you. I wish you were having a happier conversation, but thank you for your time.
Oh, well, David, that's how every conversation starts here in Tumbler Ridge, is hugging someone and saying, I wish I wasn't meeting you under these circumstances.
You'll be hugging a lot of strangers in Tumbler Ridge, or people you'll become friends with that day. We also saw you hugging the other political leaders.
Yeah.
What's the symbolism you hope people take from the fact that you all went together, all stood together, and are all grieving together?
Well, I want to make it clear how much I appreciate the Prime Minister's gesture in inviting all party leaders and providing that we all went together in the same plane. It was a relatively small plane, so we're sort of knees to knees, and it was a chance to we actually could talk to each other on board, and there was nothing but shared grieving and shared sense that there's no other place for us to be but together, where I think if every Canadian could be here, people would say, yeah, I'd like to be in Tumbler Ridge and comfort people. It's just so unbearable.
Yeah, I spoke with Don Davies just a few minutes ago, and he talked about being on the plane and said that it was in the silence that you kind of felt the connection, right? What was the journey like for you? Because we do not see these political rivals together like this ever. And certainly the idea of you all being in I guess, a Challenger, one of the Prime Minister's planes, to do this is an extraordinary moment. What was the conversation like? What was the feeling like for you?
It was incredibly loving. That's all I can say. We didn't try to talk policy. We didn't try to negotiate anything, obviously. We talked about how we felt. We talked about what it might mean, and we hoped it would mean for the community that we were coming together. I told Yves François Blanchet how very moved I was that he spoke in English in the House in his tribute. I thought Pierre Poilievre, I told him I thought that the words he spoke of how it is as a parent, that how hard this is. We shared how we felt, not as political leaders, but as human beings, and as part of the same Canadian family that's grieving right now. And some of the people in Tumbler Ridge have said to me since I got here, just in the last few hours, how much it means to them that they see that all around the world people are grieving. So, just even laying flowers among all the teddy bears and flowers and notes and cards for all the poor babies, 12 years old, and I was talking to one of the grandmas of one of the children who was killed, and it is literally, David, unbearable. So if being here together to say this is Canada, the Premier of BC is here, and ran into one of my friends from the BC legislature here, and I think, and of course the MP for the area, Bob Zimmer, has been a friend for years, and being able to say we're here together because we want more than anything, if we possibly can, as unlikely as it is, that political leaders can ease the grief and the pain, then even if it helps a little bit, it matters.
Just on that, Ms. May, as a final point, we spoke with Bob Zimmer last night. We're going to speak with Larry Neufeld, who's the MLA for the area, coming up next. They are going to take up, the cause of leadership and advocate for the supports and the recovery from the town, for the town, excuse me. But they gotta. they're not going to necessarily be able to do that alone. And what we've learned from some past tragedies is there is a surge of support when the lights are very bright and the focus is there, and then over time it can drift away. And what we've learned is the psychological supports, the emotional supports, they just need to be sustained over time. So how do you as a British Columbia MP and the other leaders who I assume you may share the flight back to Ottawa with, what do you do to make sure it doesn't fall to Mr. Neufeld and Bob Zimmer to be the voice of that alone, and that the support is sustained beyond tomorrow, the next day, and the day after, but for all the days ahead?
I may be going out on a limb here, David, but I don't doubt for a minute that every other leader who's on this trip with us together today for the people of Tumbler Ridge will not walk away, will not forget. And if Bob Zimmer says to me someday in the House, by the way, the supports aren't there that we'd wanted, I'll be part of I'll feel the people of Tumbler Ridge are my constituents. I think we all feel that way. There is no partisan edge to this.
No, and look, Ms. May, I wasn't asking that question to imply in any way.
No.
that David Eby and his government, right?
You're right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, you're quite right, though. I mean, this happens when I'll never forget being in the bitter Quebec City winter cold when 6 people were killed in worship in their mosque. Vigils are tough, and you weep together, but you can't let it be the next tragedy or the next event distracts you to such an extent that you're not there to help, that you're not there for the long term. Otherwise, what kind of people are we? So all Canadians are grieving and mourning at this moment. There's places around the world. I mean, the thought that President Zelensky of Ukraine sent condolences. People are deeply touched by this tragedy, but that doesn't mean we forget about the people who are experiencing ongoing war and conflict. We have to extend and expand our compassion. This happens to be, or next week happens to be, the National Kindness Week. All parties together did a press conference on that earlier this week. And I thought maybe we can change this new slogan of Build Canada Strong to Build Canada Strong and Kind, and expand our compassion even when we're having tough times at home. Expand our compassion and do more to help people who are in need and suffering and in grief, wherever they are. But for the people of Tumbler Ridge, we can't make a promise today by showing up to join in a vigil and lay flowers and then forget to be there a week, a month, a year, however long it takes, 2 years, 5 years from now. We don't let people down.
I think that's a good point to end it on. Green Party leader Elizabeth May, you just amplified all the signals all the leaders have been sending. So thank you for your time, and let's hope everybody does follow through on what you just outlined. Green Party leader Elizabeth
I hope.
May.
And it's all Canadians together, David. It's all of us together.
I know. Thank you so much.